Okay, thank you all for coming, and I really appreciate you haven't had much notice for this meeting, so it's incredible we've got such a crowd here today. So I'm Jeff Rowe. I'm a level 3 incident controller. I'm a captain of a little brigade called Erg, really with just a tin shed, not much else, and we've had quite a lot of fires lately too. And I just want to acknowledge, like, we were at lightning strike the other day, burnt a little tiny patch. We absolutely flooded it with water and checked it again the next morning, and other people come and check it at lunchtime. And then that afternoon I was coming back for another fire and I heard on the radio that it had taken off again. And just the sickening feeling you get in your stomach that you've sort of let your community down because you got this fire going. And where it translates is to you is that your captains here and the CFA members, just what they have done is incredible, and they would have been feeling the same sort of feeling that they've let you down as a community because this fire's got away. But what's really incredible is that yesterday was probably the worst day we've had in years. Like, the wind and the temperature were just amazing. And to think that you, like your CFA people and the community, like the people with private plant, have been able to pull that fire up at the size it got to is just quite amazing. And you look at what's happened in Longwood, and I know you've sustained some losses, but the work you've done in this community is incredible. So I need to welcome Matthew, the CEO of Memorial Shire, who you probably all know, and I'm sure you all know Charlie. I hope you haven't had any bad dealings with him. So thank you. Well, there's a few people smiling. And also we've got Alex Wright, a peer support person. We've got Leah Thompson, who's the local recovery manager, and of course representatives from Makatara and Katamatite fire brigades. So, as most of you know, the fire started up on the Murray Valley Highway, and we just had weather conditions like we just haven't had for so long, and it's like the wind was just gale force, not to mention the temperature. And so this fire started, and it's stayed fairly narrow for a long way just because of the sheer strength of the wind, and you've probably been working the flanks of it, keeping in, but just the head's been moving so quickly it's been difficult to pull up. And it's probably the combination, like, of your community efforts and the local brigades and the air support that you've been able to achieve that. And it was, I think there was, in terms of aircraft, there was 3 of the large air tankers, and they did 10 drops. I don't know what the cost is a load. It's like $30,000 or $50,000 a load, and it's fantastic that they supported you. Like, they had a lot of other fires going in the state, and for you to get 3 of those large air tankers and 10 drops was testament that they were worried about the fire escalating. But it's also fantastic to see that little communities get support just as much as the bigger communities close to Melbourne. And we've still got like 26 local appliances working on the fire, and another 15 tankers in strike teams, and a lot of heavy plant. And where the key thing now is to deal with any hazardous trees on the roads, because until we get those trees dealt with, the roads can't be open, and we appreciate that that'll be difficult for all the locals that are trying to get back to properties and things like that, or getting milk carted in and out, or fodder, etc. So we've increased, we're trying to get, I think, 5 excavators now. I think there might be 3 working, and get another 2, so that there's about 5 k's each side of the main Toke-Benalla Road that has to be done, plus the side roads, and we just want to get that done as quickly as possible so that we can get the roads open and stop impacting on the community. So At the moment, we've still got just basically an advice message for the fire. It's something happening, which is rated as that the fire is contained because we're not getting any active spread of the fire, and we've got significant resources all around it to make sure that there's no embers reignite. But we'll get to a point that that'll be put down as under control, which hopefully will be fairly soon, and it'll basically transition from the ICC in Shepparton back to the control of the local fire brigade group and local brigades. So in terms of the weather in the future, today, like, it's still warm, but possibly it hasn't panned out as strong the westerly winds as what they might have been forecasting. There is still some westerly wind, and that's dangerous because that can turn the eastern flank of the fire into like a new head of the fire. So instead of having a head that's only, you know, a kilometre wide, you could have like a 7 kilometre front of fire moving across the landscape, which could do a lot of damage. And so that's why you always put a lot more resources on the eastern flank of the fire, and the westerly winds after the main front goes through are dangerous because they change the direction of the fire and increase its size. But it's looking like it's not too bad. In terms of the future weather, it's staying warm, but I don't believe there's anything coming in the near future like we've had in the last few days. There is possibly a bit of rain coming from the north in the middle of next week. We'll wait and see whether we get it. Probably not, but we can hope. But so there's, in the short term, not too much going on, but I think the underlying dryness is so great that even if we did get a bit of rain, you would still never take this fire for granted now. Like, it could still have a hot spot in a month's time that just can't find it. Like, it's, you know, in a log or a root or something and pop up. So yeah, you don't have to be alarmed, but I still encourage you to be cautious and think about all your normal fire protection things that you would normally do. In terms of, like, you possibly know more than me, but like, it has impacted on properties. We have lost some houses, and I think there's at least 5 of those confirmed, and then there's some that were, you may know as locals, but it's hard for us to ascertain whether they were sheds or houses or maybe empty houses, but possibly you have more of those facts. And then there has been quite a lot of sheds impacted as well. So you have suffered a loss, and there'll be people hurting, and they need your support. So in terms of, like, you've probably all seen the fire. You're pretty familiar with the map of the fire. Like, I gather you probably would be looking at the app all the time. Yep. So there's a map there if you need to look at it. So the key things I'd be thinking about is, particularly if you haven't been burnt out, is referring to the CFA website and probably the council about measures you can take to protect your property, like, you know, cleaning up, mowing, check the gutters, all those usual things. If you haven't got the Victorian Emergency app, it's probably worth downloading on your phones, because it does keep you informed of any new fire starts. The moment a fire starts, it'll come up on the app, at least you're aware. And we've still got a fair bit of summer to go, so I just think it's really important that you, this may not be over. We hope it's all done and dusted, but as a firefighter, I've never take a fire for granted. Like, we got caught the other day in Lurg. There's still traffic management points in place at the moment, and I know they can be inconvenient, but it's basically for your safety. It's to stop, there's numerous trees that have been impacted by fire, and at any stage they can come down. And we had a tanker at the Katamatite fire that was there like a week after the fire on a road that had been checked, and the guys pulled up and jumped out of the truck still on the road, and a tree hit the tanker, and it's basically destroyed the tanker. Like if you're in the cab, you would have been dead. And that could be replicated here if we don't close the roads and check for these hazardous trees, take down the ones that are dangerous, and then liaise with like Vic Roads to open up the main road, and obviously the Shire of Moora to double check their roads to make sure that they're safe for use. Into the longer term again, think about actions you could take if there was to be another fire. Like, what are you doing with your pets? Like if you leave them behind and you can't get back in for some time, it's pretty hard on the animals. And then as a farmer, you just got, it's pretty hard if you've got a lot of stock to move them all into like low fuel paddocks. But on those really bad blow up days like we've just had, I always try and leave them in a paddock that I've cut hay in or pretty bare. Like they might be a bit hungry, but at least they might be alive after a fire. So I might just let the others have a bit of a talk. I'll probably miss things, but we'll go back and chase up on those. And then maybe at the end, I think it's important that we have time for you to ask your questions as well. Okay? So, let's go. Charlie or...
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
You want to talk about road closures? Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks very much for coming. My name is John. Katamatite. Thank you for coming at such short notice. I'd like to acknowledge the members of the community that have suffered loss of their properties and undergoing hardship at this time. We're here to support you. I'd like to thank the CFA members for the great work they've done in the emergency services. Just to touch on the fire, thanks very much, Jeff. You covered a lot of points I was going to mention. Fire started approximately 1 o'clock yesterday at top of Benalla Road, just in the mobile service station. It obviously quickly spread south along the Benalla Road, on both sides of the highway, bordered by the Cobham South Road, coming down to the Power Line Road and over to the west of the Larissa Road and affecting all the way up to Carter Road. The last count that we had approximately an hour ago was approximately 10 houses lost and dozens of outhouses. Significant impacts to the community. On a positive, we haven't had a reported loss of life, which is important at this time. It's also important for you to understand the fire is under investigation, and at this time it is undetermined. So we're stepping through the crime scene with all of our assistance from the emergency services, Delta Forest Fire Management, CFA, interstate partners, Power Core. They've got a large job to do. So once the scene's safe, we'll conduct an investigation into it. There's been preliminary investigations conducted by the Crime Investigation Unit, as well as heavy oversight from the Incident Control Centre and police commanders. I just wanted to speak to the evacuation order and the importance and seriousness of the decision to make that call through the Incident Control Centre and our police commanders on the ground. As you can all appreciate, it was a very dynamic situation, and that decision was made with the community safety in mind, given the spread of the conditions of the fire. But again, I thank CFA members for pulling it up at Power Line Road. So there's probably, as we work through it, there's probably 3 key messages from the police side of things. Keep an eye on the Vic Emergency app, regular updates for credible information in relation to it all. Secondly, the traffic management points are done by the Vic Roads and councils, so I'm sure you'll respect those being locals, but it's done with the safety in mind, given the unpredictability of the scenes out there. The third message from us is, while I'm here to support you all, a lot of you have my contact numbers and I'll help you in any way I can. If you do have an emergency, please call 000. If there are issues around suspect waters at properties, casing properties, report it through 000 and we can definitely act on that. Second to that, you can contact Crime Stoppers if needed, but I'm here to be that person. Also, the relief centres by the council, that's an option, but I understand that most people options. But if you get stuck, we're here to support you in the broader community. So pass the message on to your family, friends, and your neighbours, and do that. Lastly, before I forget, we're doing some recovery work in a preliminary stage of that. We understand there's stock affected, and I've been out visiting as many properties as I can this morning and through the day, and addressing those concerns, working with Paul Printer, the dairy farm, and the surroundings. But if there's impacts with feed, stock feed that you desperately need assistance with, we're working with some partner agencies that donate some feed. So if you're struggling with that, come and see us. Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. And Charlie brought up an important topic. We're not aware of any actual impact to stock and that we've got burnt stock, but if you are aware of it, either by contacting any of us, but particularly the SHEP ICC or your local CFA, because we can contact AgVic and get some support out to help you with those animals, and they could respond in here fairly quickly, whereas some of the other fires that are really active, it's difficult to actually get in to provide that assistance. But I'm pretty satisfied with this fire that if there is any injured stock, or perhaps there might be wildlife, that we can get the wildlife responders to come in and assist. But we can do that if you let us know, but we haven't had any reports as yet. So we'll move on to Matthew.
Thank you, Jeff. Can everyone hear me up the back? Yep, excellent. Thank you. Firstly, I'd just like to acknowledge that we've got Dr. Graham Emerson, PSM, Chair Administrator for Morris Shire, with us today. And also, I just noticed that we've got local member Tim McCurdy with us today as well. We do have Leah Thompson, who's our Emergency Management Coordinator. We've got Holly Barnes, who's our Municipal Recovery Manager. And we've got Rachel Gadd, who's our Municipal Emergency Management Officer with us, and Director of Infrastructure. So just firstly also to acknowledge the devastation that's occurred and the impact on community. Council plays largely a supporting role during the actual emergency response phase, which means we follow the directions of the incident controller from the ICC. So we don't have visibility of what's actually happening on the ground out there. We are largely being relayed information back through the Incident Control Centre. So over the course of yesterday, we, in preparation for the catastrophic conditions, activated our Municipal Command Centre at 6 a.m. yesterday morning. So we had staff rostered on to enable quick responses when called on. And I think we've had our municipal fixed tankers out there supporting the CFA at 2 locations, one out at Waiai and one at the fire here yesterday as well, right through till about 11 o'clock last night. So we've had support out there. We've also, I just want to acknowledge our staff that have worked over the 24-hour period supporting people in the relief centre too in Cobble as well. So I don't want that to be lost, that we acknowledge what the community is going through, but we are only hearing secondhand. So in the coming days, we will start to get handover of the site. We will start to get access to the fire grounds, and we'll start to be able to work with our community as part of that recovery phase. So we will be much more visible with you in the coming days. I do want to acknowledge the emergency services. So CFA, SES, VicPol, and even Parks Vic in the response last night. I think phenomenal effort in the conditions and to endure those conditions, 45 degrees, and I don't know what temperature would have been in the actual fire front in fighting this fire. So you do it for the community, and we're very appreciative of that. I'll also acknowledge the City of Greater Shepparton. So they were called upon by the incident controller to establish a relief centre in Shepparton as well. With the way the fire was tracking and the warning zones and the road closures around that fire, we had separation. So those that can make it to Cobram and those that can make it to Shepparton. So I think overnight we saw about 25 residents come into the relief centre at Cobram, and about 30 contact the relief centre down in Shepparton as well. So I just want to acknowledge the City of Greater Shepparton. The relief centre, we've been directed to close the relief centre. So the relief centre in Cobram now closed as of 3 p.m. this afternoon. And what that means is we'll transition into a recovery information centre. So tomorrow morning at 10 a.m, we'll have a recovery information centre activated in Cobram at 29 Station Street, which is opposite the council office. So if you need support, advice, guidance, please visit the Recovery Information Centre, which has been established at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning through to 2 p.m. and it will continue every day through until next Friday, and we will extend that if we still need to be there providing advice, information and guidance. We also have a phone number which we'll publish, but the phone number, if anyone wants to remember this, is 0477 796 975, but we will provide that on the website and also on our Facebook post as well. That is the phone number for the Recovery Information Centre in Cobram. So the Recovery Information Centre is really for information and advice. Our staff members are there to support you, connect you in with services and agencies who can provide the support that we can't provide over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks into the next month. Our district has been included in the Personal Hardship Assistance Program by the DFFH, by the state government. So what that means is emergency relief payments are available to impacted people. So we do have some information sheets here with us. That information is also available on the Emergency Recovery Victoria website and Council's website and Council's Facebook pages. So that will enable those impacted people to access emergency payments via that program. So we urge everyone to see if they're eligible for those payments. If you need urgent support, if you don't have accommodation for tonight or you've got other needs, please see Leah, Holly, one of our team members here today. Otherwise, if you need non-urgent information, please look at the website or come and see us tomorrow in the Recovery Information Centre. Over the next few days, so VicPol will complete the rapid impact assessments and we will start to receive that information as a council to aid our recovery efforts. And tomorrow I'll be attending the Incident Control Centre in Shepparton as we start to work through what that handover looks like from response into recovery. So as a council, we'll have a lot more information and understanding about what needs to be done across the area. But the important process will be what we call the secondary impact assessments. So we will be assembling a team, and Leah, who's our emergency recovery coordinator, can talk to this a little bit more if anyone's got any queries. But under Leah's guidance, we'll be assembling a team. That team will contact every impacted property owner and resident, and we'll need to come out and make assessments of your property. So that will be building surveyors, environmental health officers. There'll be representatives from Red Cross and our community services team as well. So we will come out and we will assess every property and understand the risks associated with your property. And we understand, as Charlie said, unfortunately, 10 families have lost their homes out there, at least in followers. So we'll work through supporting them as best we can. I did receive a phone call from the Regional Director of AgVic just before we came down this afternoon. And this is what AgVic have advised me. So I'll pass that message on their behalf. AgVic will also be contacting every farmer within the impacted area within the coming days. So they will be contacting people using the property identifier database. They will concentrate first on property owners with livestock, and then they will move into property owners that have horticultural activities. The intention there is that they will work to do loss assessments with you so that they can understand what further support the state government can provide. We will also, as a council, in the coming days, be seeking to further understand what support is unlocked by the Premier's declaration of a state of disaster for our community. We've been included in that declaration, but we don't know what that means just yet in terms of additional support. So in the coming days, we'll be trying to understand what that looks like and how we can enable that support for our community as well. Because the impact is huge, as we've heard. I do want to just touch on donations, because there are many people in the community with goodwill who want to help out with good intentions. If you have something you want to donate to a family in need, we would recommend that you visit GIVIT, G-I-V-I-T. It's a website that's set up and supported by Emergency Victoria to enable people who have goods to donate with people who need those goods. So we encourage people to use the GIVIT website and functionality. If you want to donate money or you want to donate food, we would encourage you to contact Moira Food Share. The Moira Food Share will ensure that that support goes to locals within our community where that support is needed most. And I'm very grateful for the support that Moira Food Share provided last night at the Relief Centre. They came down, they mobilised, they provided 25 meals. So if you can support them, that would be fantastic. Jeff, I think that's probably a bit of an update. We will know a lot more as a council, as I said, in the coming days. The key thing for us will be to understand when we can start to get into properties ourselves to help you with those assessments, when AgVic can get in. And I know that there's a lot of work to be done before roads can start. We'll be working as hard as we can with VicPol and the other agencies to ensure that we can provide access when it's safe to.
Yep, thank you for that. So with the wind up in terms of the actual firefighting effort, it's not like we get to one day and say, oh, righto, see you, we're off now. It's a really slow, gradual process that will gradually drop the resources, and you'll find your local fire brigades will be patrolling this possibly for weeks if it stays dry. So please acknowledge their efforts and give them a cheery wave, because it's sometimes pretty low, like in the middle of the night out going and checking a fire, but it's so important that they do that. We also need to acknowledge it's been a real team effort between all the emergency services like VicPol and CFA, even SES have been in helping, and Forest Fire Management have been supplying all the tree assessors, and we've got the municipal councils involved. And these days, if we didn't have that sort of team response, it would be nowhere near as effective as what it is. And finally, before we have questions, the thing I want you to think about is that you're all here. Who's not here that's possibly just been impacted and not talking to anyone and actually does need some help? Like, how do we find those people? And probably the best way to find them is all of you, that if you're aware of a neighbour that, you know, you haven't seen or heard from since the fire, maybe just go and have a cuppa with them or knock on the door and just see how they're travelling. And if they are in need of help, you know, you can point them towards the council, or Charlie will probably talk to them. And like, because your greatest strength is you as a community is that you know everyone here, whereas we don't. And we just need to open it up to questions, because I'm sure you've probably got a few queries, and so feel free to fire away. Yep.
Like for us yesterday, like we didn't know whether to leave or go.
Yeah,
and
it's very hard at times.
We're told to come over here. But was this room unlocked so people can come in, or were we just going to stand on the football ground? I think we need a plan.
Yep.
You know, where do we go?
In the emergency warnings, where they're asking you to leave, they always say where to go, and it possibly wasn't here because it would be directing you to a larger, safer centre. I don't know, is this listed as a place of last resort at all here, or?
No, it's not, just given the fact that if the emergency is happening here, people have to go elsewhere, and those designated sites yesterday were Cobram and Shepparton. Yeah. But I understand there was a question around, can they come here, can members come here? But it just wasn't suitable, unfortunately.
And it is, like, I can appreciate how complex it is in terms of deciding whether you should stay or go, but the riskiest thing is to go late, because the most dangerous place you can be in a fire is on the road. If you look at the fuel loads, if you get trapped on a road and have a fire impact just at the same time, you probably won't survive. And so that's why all the authorities are always pushing out that advice to leave early, and because it's dangerous, very dangerous for the people that decide to leave late, because the fires can it's just scary how quickly they can move sometimes with spot fires and things leaping ahead, and they'd normally direct you to a larger population centre. Yeah.
Jeff, from council's perspective, again, it's challenging for us because we quite often get calls during these sorts of events, people asking us, where do we go? We're actually not able to tell anyone where to go until we get direction from the incident controller, because we don't have access to where the fire's going, how it's going, what's at risk, what's not at risk. But one of the things that we can potentially do moving forwards, if we feel that there's not enough community members who have got bushfire management plans in place, or have awareness of where the places of last resort are, we can work with communities around some of that education, so that people can have that personal preparation in their own homes as well. So that, people aren't waiting for third-hand information about where to go. They've got a plan in place, but they can also then follow the official directives that come as well.
Any other questions at all? Yep, 2. That's very good. You'll get the gold star.
So is it true that we had some shady people around our town trying to get into people's places that had evacuated? Is that true?
I have no knowledge of that, Charlie.
Yeah, so around town, as in Katamatite, or in the fire?
No, in Katamatite.
Well, I'm aware that there was apparently a report made to the police about that, but I have not received any information about that, and I have asked the question. So it's unconfirmed on my end, but I did hear that. However, there's been nothing official, but I am making attempts to follow that up at the moment. Yes.
Thank you. That's for me.
Thank you.
I suppose you hope that most of the population's good, but there's always that 1% that are bad. And the other day when we're on standby at the fire shed because of the weather and the total fire ban, and there's somebody down the corner doing donuts in their car on the bitumen, and you think, oh God. And so I suppose there's always that 1% of the population that aren't necessarily doing the correct thing. But there must be a few more questions. Yep.
You spoke a bit about the big emergency act. Well, I'm down in that area too. The self-service through there is absolutely crap. And so some of the information we're getting is 2 hours old.
Right.
So that's probably something to be heard and taken.
Yep. That's not good.
It's not good.
Mm.
It's absolutely shocking. We're getting information that's 2 hours old. You could be more prepared for something like, when I look at my phone, big emergency act, something like this, you want it to be on point.
Yep.
Not 2 hours old.
No, I agree.
Believe Sandman Road's what maximum.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrible.
Yeah, it is a real black spot there.
Yeah, I'm really having case from Bob, another town out here,
Yeah.
but it's dead bloody flat.
Mhm.
Yeah, it is much nutrition, I know that. But it's not that bloody low.
Yep. No, points noted. Thank you. Yep. Anybody else?
I can see the other thing there, Jeff, and totally acknowledge I mean, I've lived in country areas all my life, so you're driving along and your phone service drops out. The other thing there is ABC.
Yep.
It's the ABC for the emergency updates.
Alternatives, yep,
So I think
they're very
that's,
good.
again, it's just a
Yep.
reminder for people that if there is something that happens, ABC for emergency updates if you don't have good coverage on your cell phone. But appreciate that, we promote that big emergency app very, very heavily.
Yep, yep.
Is there anything that we can do to let fire brigade know we already evacuated, so do they search our houses, come and check that there's anyone there if they're in the line of fire?
They would, like if they were doing asset protection, and it's very difficult because like how many trucks have you got here in Katamatite? Is it a couple maybe? One, righto. So, and how many houses have you got in Katamatite? Oh, Makata, same thing.
Yeah.
And so you can't always, yeah, I know. There's nothing really established to do that, and you can't guarantee that they're going to get to every house. And so I appreciate your good intentions, but it's just there's nothing formal that I'm aware of, unless like you're not aware of anything like that, are you at all? I'm not. I've never heard.
There's nothing like that out there.
No.
But what we were doing yesterday was, there's some people still there. The flying curve, we're going to be in the road, we're going trusting and we want to make up a, yeah. So whether there was someone home or not, we were still trying to drop that into asset protection because we couldn't, the way the law was behaving, we couldn't fall back on protecting all your assets and achieving all that, but we were going to protect the account.
So, and you've got to appreciate how difficult it is. That is, they're moving with the fire front, protecting houses, and so they're copying it like at every property they're being impacted by the fire front. So it's a really tough gig, and it's to be admired. Yep, Tim.
Jeff, Tim McCurdy, your local state member. Can I just say, in the weeks and or days and weeks going forward, insurance is a big thing. Now, we all know how good insurance companies are at collecting the premiums when time comes. When it comes to make a claim, some are very good and some are not very good. And I just encourage you to give our office a call if you're having trouble at all, because we go through the Insurance Council of Australia and we'll make sure we get it sorted. Some, as I say, some of them are very good, some are very difficult. So if you hear of anyone who's got insurance issues, please give us a call.
Thanks, Tim. Any other questions at all? Okay, well, it's probably there'll be a bit of support and everyone will be busy for the next few weeks or months, but I can just appreciate when you get a calamity like this, how long it takes you to recover. And so it's really important that you stick together as a community, not just now, but you know, for the months and years to come, because sometimes it can take a really long time to overcome something like this. And mental health is so important, like the impact on the Corryong farmers when they got burnt in 2019-20 has just been ongoing, and that has been like a big fallout in terms of that fire, and then now that they're confronting it all over again, which is really disappointing, like with this fire that's burning from Kudjura. So God knows how they're feeling at the moment, and that's going to go on. That fire without rain could go on for weeks because you just can't control it in some of that steep country. But I suppose the message here is that please look after yourselves, like in the longer term as well as the short term, and just you need to stay in touch with each other and your neighbours to make sure that you all pull through this ordeal. So, and just thank you so much. Like, look how many people are here in a small place like Katamatite with such short notice. Like, it's amazing. So, thank you very much. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you touched on it earlier about the road closure and cleaning up the trees.
Yep,
Is there a timeline maybe for the main road to be open?
we're hoping ASAP, and that's why we've organised some additional excavators to work down there, but hopefully in the next, I can't give you a precise time. They've started work,
48 hours or
yeah, the next 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
They're focusing on that road first, and then they'll do the
Yeah.
smaller side roads. And probably, you know, if you're just going to focus on cost, you'd say, oh, we're just going to get one excavator here, but it might take him 2 weeks to get down there. And so that's why we've just, like, we'd rather get a lot of machines and just get it done quickly and
I know,
get it over.
straight away.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'd say the next 24 to 48 hours. And no other last questions at all? Yep.
So, look more sure, he's gonna go to the local government and say, hey, try and put a burning plan, roadsides, all that, because all the fuel, buying that yesterday, it was a shit show. Like, there's a lot of hard work going into go and putting that away, but we're not pre-burning. What's the point? You're just gonna lose more houses every year. So he's never go to the government and put in an effort. I don't know.
Hang on, just, wait 1 sec.
If the cattle were laid, if the cattle were laid on their channels and actually apply yesterday, I don't know if they're doing agree, cattle were laid on those channels, it's farm related, they wouldn't run some of their channels.
Yeah.
You know, just, you guys got to step up and say, look, enough's enough. You know?
Well, I think first thing is immediate focus is on people impacts, making sure they've got support, making sure that we've got the ability to go in and inspect properties, make sure they're safe. We will get the reports back on the file. We'll debrief on that. If there's a cause for us and there's feedback that we're receiving around the vegetation on the roadsides, which I've received earlier just as we were coming in, particularly along with Nallard Oak Road and the amount of fuel loading along there, we'll pursue that with DTP. So if we need to look at roadside vegetation management and some of the options in there, we'll certainly have a conversation around that. If that's one of the outcomes that comes out of this fire and the debrief on it, we can certainly take that up.
Just for that first hand though, the fella that's on the front line. I don't know what evidence you need, the fella that's on the front line, and you just have to come down there and see how far it's on that road.
It's not even now the road, it's every.
Thank you for looking after your own problem.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we'll take that away, Snack.
Yep. We've got a question just here.
Yeah, just basically, I need to go into the property, basically check water, check
Yep.
the livestock.
No, we can, that can be arranged. Yep.
I still need to go there.
Yep.
Now, is there a way I can get an exception, go out there and take another road?
Well, I'd get you to give me your name and number and I'll get someone from the ICC to contact you. And it just may mean that to get to your place that we just get one of the local tankers or something to go in with you to like make sure it's safe and then come out with you a bit later on or something. So I'm sure that I'll probably liaise that like through like would that be the Katamatite captain with your area, would it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just liaise and I'm sure like, and if you have problems, get in touch with the ICC, but we're not inflexible, like we appreciate that.
We'll work with you.
Yep.
There's different ways I can get it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So long as I was able to get there, that's the one.
They said we needed a ticket.
Yeah, and we can sort that and I'd use probably your first point of call will be local captain. I'm not sure which brigade area you fall into, and then because they'll know how to get in touch with the ICC, and then you're dealing with somebody that you know, and yeah, it'll get sorted for you. And there was another question, like up the back.
Touching on what Daniel said, I got told today. You gotta move on to stuff twice during the month. Literally 6 weeks, 6 months, start talking about the roads like that. It's more going over, people going. In the last few years, we've done roads like Birmingham. And it sort of feels like we're told to drop down what we can do. Shire, the CFA, any police maybe, and the local council. We gotta go the other way. We gotta come past, so we gotta burn this and push it up the top. So none of this, we can't burn this, can't do that, but we've got that a lot of road. We can't burn. So I reckon the Shire that's gonna stand up, I reckon the government's gonna have to change their policies. We get told from the top down what to do. Like yesterday, that fire, we could have stopped it above Tom South Road. If we had the blocks burnt out on that Katamatite Road in section, we would have had that stopped well and truly above Tom South Road. It burnt straight down that Katamatite Road. Like, it was drowning in fucking trees. I've never seen that around here. Like, and we put out a lot of fire yesterday, turned around, and I think like 200 metres past your grade.
Yeah, and obviously needs some further investigation, and I'm not disagreeing with you, yep.
It's more time. And things like the amount of paperwork we're going to go through to get it approved. That's going to be road, right?
Yep, I can imagine.
Get it going. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, we got one person in the brigade that actually does, he's the burn manager. The amount of work that he does to actually get one burn to do, the amount of requirements that we need to have there to do that burn. After we put 1,500 acres down there, Paddy.
Yep.
We got them on the fire truck, and you're telling them they're using two trucks. They're telling us to burn 500 metres, by 30 metres wide. So we had 6 trucks, a big field, and all this other gear.
Yep.
And needs to come back to reality.
And
That's where
the world's very risk adverse at the moment, and so everything gets consumed with policy. I'm not disagreeing. I experienced it myself, like with our home brigade. Yeah.
And that's maybe someone that's something powerful, at least clearer on the powerful. Yeah, they probably sort of raise their hand.
Yep. Yep.
And I wouldn't catch on when people that.
Yep. That's probably a good point. Yep. They do usually spray around them, but whether they don't spray. Okay. It's very ridiculous.
grass on the side of the road, and I told them not to.
Right.
Cut grass on the side of the road anymore.
Yep.
More sure I said no. So they can't. Used to be able to play out in front of your farm between your boundary fence and the road. Put that vibrate into that stuff that.
Well, I think the sentiment of the meeting's been well and truly felt, and it'll just be something that
Yes, we'll have an action
Yeah.
around roadside measurement. So yeah, I think heard everything that's been said, so we'll take that away. Yeah, definitely.
all right, well,
Can I just ask when you were in? Can I just ask when you were, how long ago it was that you were told what to do treatments on the roadside?
7 years ago.
Okay.
It's made a high now. Well, I used to do it in spring, every spring. And then it's sold in the shops.
We'll look into the rationale behind that.
and it's like I know from person, like
And that's what one plays out for the channels. I wouldn't have been enlightened as a Pino. It just went down all the channels.
The fuel on those channel banks has been there for 20 years.
right.
I've been in this district for 62 years and I've never seen a fire melt that channel. Now, that has never been burned, it's never been cleared in that much time. The heat of the fire will show you at the moment, we're 100 metres there's a green patch. And then 100 metres and the house was next. Lucky that you guys were there and must have put the helicopter over or stopped it. It actually burnt under the house.
Yep.
A little section and was put out. I think it was put out. Guys told me not to be in the house for at least 24 hours. But the fuel around these channel banks and roads, and no one listens to us. We've been complaining about this for years. And you guys are putting your lives at risk, putting out fires where, you know, it could be solved if only they got rid of the fuel. You're not even allowed to cut along the side of the road anymore. You know, I live down here opposite the Broken Creek. Some of the fuel, if that fire had come through yesterday, my house would have gone for sure. I know it would have, because there was no way of stopping it. The fuel along the creek would generate that much heat. It'll burn you 300 metres away.
I'll pass that sentiment on to my contacts, and I'm sure Matthew will be taking it on board and see where it all goes. Yep. So, all right. Well, thank you again so much for all coming, and stay safe. Yep.
Questions on.
Sorry, what? Oh, yeah, sorry, well, just before we finish, can I just have your attention for a moment? There's just actually a few people online that have got questions, so we'll answer those.
So we've received 3 questions online. So the first question is there an update on when the power will be restored?
The power, as you know, there's been a lot of power poles burnt, and I imagine that could take a little while to re-establish all those power poles, and so I can't really put a time frame on it, but I don't think it's going to happen within like the short term, like days. I think it might be like you'd think it could easily be in excess of a week, but I have no real guidance on that. But I understand there's a lot of damage to the distribution system.
Second question, is there a plan for trauma help?
Yeah, there's well, we've got, I'll let you actually, you'll probably peer support here too.
Yeah. So I think if people are needing support, just said refer to the council website. We've got the Recovery Information Centre. We can provide references to other support agencies, other support mechanisms, and provide support where we can as well. So please contact the Recovery Information Centre, which opens at 10 a.m. tomorrow, or the phone number is also on our Facebook and our website. Third question. Sorry,
I'll just add in there that if it's a CFA member or their family, they've got an incredible support network out there, like an unbelievable support program. So I won't go through it all now, but if it happened to be a CFA member or one of their family, I encourage you to, like your captains will have the contact number, and it's all confidential, and to talk to them.
Third question is, why have this meeting in Katamatite when most of us affected by the fires can't drive to Katamatite?
Yeah. We just needed a safe location, and probably nowhere was going to be perfect. And so I suppose it's good, at least it's online, that people still have access to it if they've got the internet. And yeah, I'm sorry, it would have been good to do it further up the road, but you've got to have somewhere that's safe and that people can get to, and that's a suitable facility.
2 more questions. Question 4 is, are the fires contained?
They are classified as contained at the moment. The next step, once they've just gone around and treated check there's no hazardous trees on the fire edge, it'll probably move to a controlled sort of status, and then sometime after that it will just be ended. But I think there's just some work going on today where they're checking trees on the perimeter of the fire, because if they happen to spot over the control lines, which we could have another fire start very easily. So that's why it's only listed as contained at present.
And the last question we have here is, will clear road detours be set up? As we have a lot of people driving down Cottons Road, not knowing where they're going.
The power line road, so the road closures are managed by the council. If there are more that need to be put in place, we can do that.
I guess that's going to be a changing
Yes.
beast over the next
Yes,
day or
it will
two.
be. Yeah, depending on
Yeah.
on the assets going in.
All right. We seem to have more questions coming through. Then, Kat, how many more questions have we got there?
With a total fire ban, are people allowed to be harvesting?
No, you shouldn't normally be harvesting in a total fire ban, and I don't know it intimately because I'm more from a grazing area, but there is a code of practice for harvesting when the fire danger reaches a certain point that people cease harvesting, and usually the cropping farmers are pretty onto that. There's probably some here today that can explain it better than me. Is there anybody, any croppers here?
Guideline,
Yeah.
it's the temperature, humidity, wind related speed, they give you a number to go by and reach at a certain wind speed. To a certain temperature, to a certain humidity, that's when it should stop.
Yep. And normally you would not try not to use like heavy equipment on a day of total fire ban. Yep.
And last question, which I will probably answer as part of the question, is why don't Murray Valley Water maintain the channel areas? They drive their vehicles in there every day with their hot exhausts. Part of the notes that I've taken is the discussion around the vegetation management is to verify responsibilities for those channels, the vegetation in those channel areas.
One more question concerning that quite last night. Our water pressure in other was in water pressure from the 0 in town. Golden Valley Water wouldn't come out and reset the farm because they said it was an emergency evacuation area. But what good is it? We don't have the pressure in the farm. It's on second.
Yep.
Which township is that in? Is it Katamatite? Done, yeah?
Yep.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Kat.
Thank you, everyone.
All right.